Big Nose Kate, this particular distillery is down, I think, in New Mexico. And the distiller, though, in Colorado, runs a rum distillery that's like world class. And I found out that the master distiller went to be taught by the distiller that runs that distillery in New Mexico. And I thought, well, if that's the teacher, I should probably try one of their whiskeys. And I'm telling you right now, Big Nose Kate is at a different level. So let's try a little sip here.
All right, this one's sponsored by Big Nose Kate.
Big Nose Kate.
Cheers.
Hey.
Here with George Bodine, Art and Foolproof, the next episode. So really great opportunity to talk to you. In, again, casual format. We're going to have a couple sips of whiskey, talk about art, talk about you. And we have a great opportunity to be in the studio with you, which is where the magic happens, and share some of that insight as well. And I love that we're working on this a new product here. This is per your recommendation there,
Yes,
George.
Big Nose Kate. And you know, Big Nose Kate has got quite a reputation. She was Doc Holliday's girlfriend in real life. That was Big Nose Kate.
It's nice.
It is smooth.
It's nice. It's really smooth.
Very smooth.
It's really smooth.
This is a superb distillery.
I think in the end, smoother the better, right?
Oh, it's a really very smooth. In fact, it's too smooth.
Well, George, we got some questions for you here. How long have you been painting? Is this a lifetime adventure? Is it something you started young? Is it something you kind of have come back to?
I've always been interested in art, but everyone should know that watches this or listens to it. I've never had an actual art lesson in my life, not a single one.
Impressive.
And I have trained myself. I'm always experimenting, looking at different things. I've been involved in art since I was like a teenager, that is loving art. I was that weird kid that would take a first date out to an art museum in Denver, Colorado.
Nice.
And you know, I just always loved art. But you know, life got in the way. I've got a very interesting background. When I was in high school, I used to ferry airplanes around the country for a guy that was like a used car salesman of airplanes.
You were the pilot.
I was just old enough to drive, and I had got a private pilot license. I was trying to build time. He would get me a bus ticket on Greyhound, and he'd send me to like some weird place, Kansas City, to pick up an airplane and then bring it back to them. And you know, lots of times, I mean, I started the trip, I'd be in the cockpit with the owner's manual just figuring out how to start it. And then I went to college up in Wyoming after I got a GED, but I ended up dropping out of college too. So then I drifted west. I worked in the oil fields out in Wyoming. And then after I had left college, I had dropped off an application, and I got called when I was working in the oil fields, and I became a cop, a city cop out in the Wild West. And I mean, it was a real Wild West town with actual cowboys and Indians, bullet holes and bars, and it was it was an interesting experience in my life. After a couple years, I drifted south across Wyoming into the upper plains of Colorado, and I worked underground as a miner. Wow. Deep underground. It was a really deep mine. And I did that until it seemed like my life was basically going nowhere. Finally, I got to a point where I went back to college, and when I was in college, I drove a cab in Denver at night in 5 Points, and it was great. You know, I paid my way through college, and everything was going great. The Navy needed pilots at that time, and I applied.
Had you been flying a lot between your earliest
You know what?
time?
I hadn't. So
Yeah.
once I got 250 hours, I got a commercial pilot's license, but you can't do anything without an actual license.
So when then the Navy kind of finished your
Exactly.
training.
And so I was accepted in the Navy. I went through a program. There's an old movie out called Officer and a Gentleman. That's the program I went through. I got my wings, and I flew F-18s, Hornets. And then I went through Top Gun as an adversary instructor, and I flew Top Gun until I left. Then I flew for Delta, flew all over the world. I had a motorcycle accident that ended my flying career about 10 years ago, and
Do you think you'd still be flying then?
I probably would. Yeah. I would have flown until
That's something you can kind of do.
I would have flown until it was time for me to retire.
Yeah.
But you know what's really neat about this is that when I finally got hired by Delta, I had time that I could start devoting to art. I used to carry my paints with me in the cockpit back in the days before 2000. And,
because you guys are certain time off, certain time on, certain time off. So and that gave you some time
Tons of time.
off to really, that's when the painting really got started.
Yeah, and I was working as much as I could. I even, like I said, on a layover, I'd take my paints, and one time I went down to the Philadelphia school there and painted from a model live. I paint a lot from life, and I use photographs too, but when I use photographs, I try and set them up the same way. That is, I make them the same sight size on the canvas, so it's almost like the artist holding his thumb up, and then I step back, forward, back, so I try to keep that same feeling of painting, from life. But after the motorcycle accident, I just started working full-time painting.
Came to it during your time as a commercial pilot. Was there something in particular that pulled you into it seriously? Was there sort of a moment that made you commit to figuring it out on your own? Was it one particular thing, or was it just the kind of, as you mentioned, the series of events that gave you the opportunity?
I think it's a lifelong based desire to embrace art. When I was a little kid, you wouldn't know this, but back in the 60s, they had a program. You would get matchbook covers because everybody smoked in those days.
Sure.
So my parents would bring home a matchbook cover, and on the inside, as you open it, there'd be a little thing that says, "Have you ever wanted to be an artist?" And you could subscribe to it.
I'd love to get some of those.
You could subscribe. I'd love to have that too, because I did. My parents said, well, I was interested in it. They said, so you want to do this? So they sent off, you'd been in a cereal box or something, you could send a clipping in, or you just contact them. And I had like an instructor by mail. So everything was by mail. You'd get a lesson pack, and then you draw and you paint and stuff. And then you send it into the instructor, and then they'd review it, and they'd send it back to you, all snail mail. It was a 1-week process to get something sent out, and then maybe another week to get it back. But
was there a fee associated every time
you paid?
It
Was some small fee you paid, and
I like this idea. We should bring this back.
It was neat, and for a kid, that really loved art, it was great.
Did you get a lot out of it? Did you feel like you grew as an artist during that experience? Or was it just like an opportunity for you to do art?
Yeah, I felt like it just maybe gave it a validation.
Yeah, some
you know what I'm saying?
Sure,
as a little kid. And so that never really left me. I've always remembered that story, and I thought, gee, if you're 7 years old and you're already interested in art, it's probably a calling rather than, just a particular, someday you wake up and you go, hey, I'm going to be an artist. It was a calling.
Now, in relationship to your work specifically, you're a painter, landscape, figure, some would say traditional. Is there a particular artist or painting that inspired you? And we got Andrew Wythe here having a drink with us here. Was there a particular artist like Wythe that inspired you? Or?
I have always loved, I guess maybe I am inspired by the traditional painters like the 19th century from the French school, and even Sargent is probably my favorite painter of all time. Andrew Wythe I like too, because believe it or not, I view him as almost like a modernist with his design. So I've loved traditional artists. I like the craftsmanship involved in art, but at the same time I'm experimenting in different things.
Sure.
I brought you a couple pieces that could be called modern, totally modern art.
Absolutely. Even in this painting here, where it's and we can see there's a library, and it creates this really elegant scene, but as you start to look at it, it's simple fundamentals of art, simple modern fundamentals, shape, color. There's some really great, just simple, great design elements in it that almost become abstract or modern.
Yeah, that's very well put. I agree with that 100%. Exactly. In fact, all you have to do to prove that to yourself sometime is to really get into some art in a very minute detail. Just take a very small section of art and you realize that the patterns, the design work, there's a lot of, things seem random, but even in that painting that you referenced there, there's many things in that painting that draw your eye to where I want it to go. The way the books are placed, the shadows, the darkness, even the gold leaf that's in the painting is designed to bring your eye into a certain area.
That idea of there's a certain darkness, intimacy. Is there something that in particular personally that draws you to that, or aesthetically draws you to that?
That's well described. Melancholy, sometimes people say too, and darkness. I understand that, and that's always not, for a gallery owner, that's always not the easiest type of a subject to deal with. Someone who's exploring some really deep emotions. It comes from a really bad period in my life. After like 2004, my art changed quite a bit, and a lot of it has to do with like sometimes loss or love or the idea of something gone that you didn't anticipate. I don't know how to explain
well,
it.
there's always a very striking beauty, certainly in your figures, but there is that somber, melancholy kind
Some of my paintings
like,
are focused around the idea this was the last time. This was the last moment. Either I saw someone or the last moment I held them, that they're gone.
And it's subtle, I think, enough to where, it's not the first thing we go to. I think it's like a kind of another one of those layers in your work that if you didn't know, it wouldn't be quite as prominent.
All right, so I have used all kinds of traditional materials. This painting that I told you is gold leaf.
Yeah.
I did two techniques here. You can actually use gold leaf in tacky paint and actually impress it right into the painting, and then later come back, make sure it's adhering. You can put in a glue sizing, which I have. I did also that. I used to make my own. I used to stretch all my old canvas, and I would treat it with hot rabbit skin glue.
Wow,
and then use a white lead.
Yep.
I would put 2 coats of white lead on it. I stopped doing that about a decade ago. I started getting paranoid about the lead poisoning. And so what I've fallen back to now is I get a very fine portrait linen. It's not handkerchief, but it's the next step up, and it's double primed. And then I actually have a manufacturer put it together for me, and I'll get custom sizes sometimes, and they'll put it and mount it on pH neutral, either aluminum or a board, something that I know is stable and will last, and then it's adhered with a pH neutral glue, like a Bevo glue, through a heat process and vacuum to suck that linen down.
So really using traditional and modern process there.
Exactly. And so I've evolved. And my paints though are very traditional. I'm very careful about what I use, archival. My medium is something that I'm a really big fan of, that I use, turpentine. It's just, it's traditional materials. And no matter what materials you use though, that won't create a painting. Nothing, it doesn't matter what you buy.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you paint on. If you don't have an idea of what you want to say in a painting, it's never going to get done. I've done a lot of plein air work. I used to paint at plein air competitions all the time. Okay. And I think that
out west, specifically.
Out west, but also back here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that my interest in Western art transitioned into being outdoors. So after I met that guy, I started doing pencil work, but then eventually I switched right into oils. I've done everything. I've done watercolors, acrylics, but I switched into oils. And then I took my work outside. I started painting outside. I love painting outdoors, plein air work. So I think that the outdoors part of it, out west is what kind of captured me. So it wasn't traditional Western art like you think of, like that genre, if you will, of art, as much as just being in the great outdoors. And I did that out here too. I mean, I used to go to Bucks County, different events and stuff like that for plein air. I don't do that so much anymore, mainly because I don't know if you're aware of this, but it's almost like not a competition. Well, it is a competition, but it's also like you have to be certain places, certain days. You have to paint here. You have to do this. You have to do that. And that's not. I don't like being told.
That sounds a little structured for me.
Yeah, structured. That's a very good word. That's a good way to put it. Structured.
Nobody's going to tell you where to be and where to paint and what.
Exactly.
To paint.
No preparatory sketches.
No preparatory sketches.
None. I don't even do the thumbnails, none of that stuff. And I know that many artists do, but I don't do any of that.
But you do have the idea in mind when you're setting up the model and doing the costume. I mean, is there an idea
Yes.
that you're trying to get to, or even that can be kind of organic?
No, there is an idea that I'm trying to get to.
You're trying to get to one particular...
And then I usually just work on a piece. I mean, I can't focus beyond, I just work on a piece. I use a very old medium. It's a copal oil medium that I use, and it's by a particular gentleman that I trust, because copal has a very bad reputation, but this particular...
What is, now can you explain that? Copal?
Well, because of its previous incorporation with lethargic, like lead also.
And that's a medium you mix the paint with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it dries fairly quickly. And it's 19th century copal oil medium is the name of it.
Whoa.
I use that. And then that allows me to start layering in fairly quickly. And, like I said, I'm experimenting with different tools for making marks. And I even have like a stencil kit that I'll use to put marks across the canvas, like in that particular piece there of the model from Prague, in the green background. I'll do all kinds of different things.
Right, because you wanted that patterning to be consistent.
Well, I wanted it to be, for her, that pattern, exactly. Yeah. I do have blocks, and it's pretty serious. Sometimes I can't work, and it's either, artists, I don't know what it is about artists. I don't know if it's because they're sensitive, or I don't know what the hell the problem is, but artists really do suffer from depression and mood swings and feelings of, everything from self-worth issues to, poser complex. Everything that you can imagine. But what's happened lately, and this is just in the last few years, is I've given myself permission to be in that mood. So if I'm not in a mood to come to the studio, I don't go. I just give myself permission to not do it. And the reason that works is because of what you were hinting at right there. You said, many artists don't have that luxury, and it's true. Of all the things, if any gift that I could give another artist, it would be the luxury of not having to work, so that you're constantly producing work just to survive. If I could give a gift to every artist that just wants to create, I would do that.
Here in the studio, hopefully we'll have some excerpts of the studio to share with you. We got Big Nose Kate. We got the 1792. We're really living in the past today with this. We got a little theme going here.
Life's good.
It's like Wild West. George, thank you for your time.
To you, my friend.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And we Works is available as a gallery, and we'll keep showing and presenting new work as it comes out of the studio.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting me as an artist, and this has been a lot of fun.